So today I'm here with one of my extracurricular work in Oromo. Guys, if my screen is not working, I share the video. If my screen is not working,
can you go ahead and present? Please, we are hearing.
thank you very much. So I'm here today with one of my extracurricular work in Oromo. I'm a medical doctor professionally. So one of previous presenter already introduced much of my work that I congested in the introduction part of my slide. So I try to rush on the introduction part and I focus on my last methodology and the final conclusion part. So my presentation is entitled with some orthographic problems in Oromo. So my study tries to depict areas that need refinement in Oromo orthography, which is one of Cushitic language subfamilies. These subfamilies comprises language like Somali, Kambata, Sidam, and Hadiya. This whole language, they share something in common, including scripts and some orthographic features like diagrams. So my study tries to identify the areas that need enhancement for orthography. So in no means it is not to criticize the user, but it is to engage the stakeholders for improvement of orthography. So to begin with, as previously said, Oromo is basically spoken in the and its neighboring country. It's well known for its oral tradition, but the standardization of this written communication was commenced very recently, as was mentioned by other presenter. It was after the publication of a book entitled by Haile that the first systematic presentation of Oromo using OSA was done. In 1970s, they were undertaking these studies on Oromo phonology, and finally, that led to the publication of the book in 1973. So, adoption of OSA was determined by Oromo scholars. It was only since 1991 that officially OSA was referred as Oromo orthography. This adoption was mainly determined by several factors, among which these three factors are mentioned above in linguistics. These are linguistic factor, pedagogic, and practical factor. From linguistic point of view, the writing system needs to align with phonologic structure of a given language that this Latin script did for Oromo. So this is mainly to make learning and communication easy. From pedagogic point of view, the global familiarity of this Latin script made OSA preferable for Oromo, and practically the easy nature of this alphabet made it perfect match for Oromo. So overall, adoption of OSA was well-thought acquisition and is the most convenient writing system for Oromo. There are some critical factors in Oromo writing. These are distinct features of this vowel and consonants. Thus, we capture this variation in most of the cases. Depending on this, we can categorize Oromo consonant as and so on. Distinction of this feature is very crucial as linguists difference in meaning in written communication. Thus, it is hard with this correspondence that the writing system of phonological structure of a given language will be defined optimally if it marks this distinction and fit for phonological structure of a given language. On this ground, Scholars like Takari advocates usability of this Latin script for Oromo, and from his research point, all Oromo consonants except a voiceless glottal, what we call ha, and the glottal stop sound, what we call huda, all have geometric form except these two. So he suggested there is a difference in physical property like voicing and the place of articulation in Germany and the counterpart means the soft ones. Despite this, there were inconsistencies among Oromo scholars in representing geometric diagrams. He highlighted this by mentioning how Dr. Talam indistinctly wrote the word tabak in the book in 1995. Other people like Mangasha and Abiyu tried to make this distinction by telling the first components of the diagrams. So the discourse in this geometric diagram writing extended beyond Oromo in other highland dispositive language like Hadiya, Sidama, and Kambata. There were trials of Oromo in this respective language that have different suggestions and arguments for the specific language. Overall, the argument said that around two things. The first one was clarity in political communication, and the next one was efficiency in using orthography or alphabet. So in language like Sidama, and Kambata, the definition of this diagram will be written just like we do for other language, which will compromise the efficiency of orthography. Conversely, in our language, Oromo and the Somali, geometry and the software diagrams are written similar ways which will compromise the clarity of reading communication for the reader. I have tried to have a look at the European language, how they approach the problem of this spectrum, specifically in Spanish. I have seen that there were around 4 times intentional for problem of this spectrum. Of course, I can't speak or read Spanish. As far as my reading in English was concerned, Spanish is the simplest and the easy language to learn because of the reasons that they work a lot on this phoneme and graphic correspondence. So other language like English and in some way French, they have drawback in not having strict correspondence between phoneme and the graphic. So this underscores that how much the issue is critical and complex to balance this efficiency and the clarity in a given language. For example, if we take this sentence in Oromo, we can pronounce this in 2 ways. The first, as we see in A, kope filikotu, we can pronounce like this, and the same kope we say like this in our areas, kope for pain. So for the reader, it is so ambiguous either to bring issues or to bring a pain. The other word, for example, can be for injury, so everyday, and the other, we can use other characters too. So in a handle, it is because of that, of this distinction that we dropped the GIS script and chose the Latin script. And currently, a handle is a medium for instruction in primary higher education. So we need to address this distinction to avoid ambiguities for the reader. The orthographic challenge of geometric diagram is particularly pronounced in Oromo, and so this study tries to address this issue and it was tried by my own personal experience to distinctly write geometric diagrams and non-geometric one, and there were also problem of the same spectrum with the student where I conducted my research. I have three research questions. The first one is a question for cognition inquiry. What is the perception of students regarding the metadata? The second question, what orthographic problem are there in their written word? Practical observation, and the third what is underlying source of this problem is a search for root cause of this problem. I tried to look at literatures that help me to revise my work, and I found this one very important. Whenever to develop a new writing system or replace the existing one, these are the five factors that need to be taken into account. The first one is accuracy. In accuracy, all terms in a given language need to be captured. And the next one is economy. It is only phenomenon or sounds that need to be represented while we write. And consistency, letters must be mutually exclusive. And on monography, there need to be one-to-one correspondence in between phonemes and graphemes. And when we see the final sufficiency, the value of this phenomenon and the graphic should not depend on others. And the next scholar also agrees with this idea. Saying this, I need to rush in my literature review and to see some of the orthographic rules in Oromo, who are what we call a glottal sound represented by a full stop with accent in international phonetic alphabet, is conventionally written by apostrophe in Oromo. It occurs when specific between vocal cord is briefly close to the release. In some of matchup dialects, Buddha is freely interchangeably used with other letters like N and the letter R. For example, we can say Balisa, we can say Balise, and somewhere I've noticed that we pronounce as I wrote it in the Balise. So this shows the flexibility of some of the dialects in Oromo. From global perspective, what I noticed from my reading was to work well on this phonographic correspondence or for distinction of a given phoneme. Here are diacritic marks that are utilized specifically in language like Spanish, France, and Germany. So basically these are symbols. They are used to modify letters for pronunciation and are found across numerous languages. So these are named as accent, acute accent, Greek accent, the Semida, the Marco. There is no uniformity in using this diacritic mark.
دقيقة فرقبت دكتور سيسا دقيقة فرقبت دقيقة فرقبت ددفا دبنا.
So I conducted this research by exploratory research design with Ethnographic and study participant was student, curriculum student. I collected my data with structured questionnaire and document review with interview. So I used those primary and secondary data. So to go with my time, I will directly rush to the last key finding and my recommendation. So from my studies, here are my key findings. From perception inquiry, among the participants, 90% of the students misunderstood the definition of Oromo diagrams. There is also curriculum deficiency for a reason that there is no distinct rule to write Oromo diagrams in German form. From practical challenge point of view, in curriculum there is no exercise or practice that capacitates the student for this. So, in conclusion and recommendation, any language in there is no language in the world that is immune to change. Change in a language is a continual process, as it was addressed by different scholars. So, changing established orthography is a challenge by itself, primarily due to conservative post-colonialism of the existing one. With regard to Oromo, it is essential to implement necessary adjustment before phonetic elements become deeply ingrained and the user base becomes resistant to change. So yeah, I suggest that the process of refining orthography should be continuous. So as a recommendation, I need to go with to enhance the clarity and accuracy of the communication, I will propose the implementation of glottal stop mark conventional written as OTA to distinctly represent the geometric diagram in the Oromo. This notion is very critical for distinction of geometric and non-geometric. For instance, if we take the word copy to mean shoes and copy to mean pen, the phonetic discrepancy is clear what we are writing a problem. So for this reason, we need to incorporate good for geometric ones. This is because of three things. The first one is phonetic accuracy. When we pronounce the geometric one, there is a formation of glottal stop sound when we pronounce the diagrams. Doing this, we will implement phonetic accuracy. By writing geometric and non-geometric ones in a consistent way, we can convey a clear meaning for the reader.
Nugababsa, dottore. Nugababsa.
Here are some illustrations. For example, if we see Dharma and Sotaria, the baby is breastfeeding. Child food for Sotaria when we pronounce the word there is a formation of glottal stop sound. So we need to represent the unrepresented glottal stop sound here, so that we distinctly write the geometric and the non-geometric in different ways. Finally, I have additional recommendation. In case of any inconvenience happened for any diagrams, I will strongly recommend EPG and electrography to confirm the formation of this glottal stop sound, and I still recommend to use glottal stop sound for geometric diagrams, and in case there is discrepancy or vocality in EPG, I will call on scholars to conduct additional research on this area and implement this recommendation, and this is my reference.
Thank you, Dr. Sisai. Despite some challenges with the audio, I heard you well. I hope this challenge will be written in an article form. Maybe we will be able to read it in JOS. I encourage you to submit it as we continue the effort to standardize Afan Oromo. Dr. Gimbar and Ad Hurume are not in the audience, or they are not in the room. So I will take 1 minute to communicate something that happened, and we forgot to do this during the business meeting. Dr. Fanta is the outgoing president of OSA, and I would like everybody to give him a big applause for his excellent service. We didn't even have a report, but he was the first to take OSA Mid Conference to Africa, and I was there with him in Nairobi by Egalatomi. And then he brought OSA back to Toronto. At least people from Toronto should give him a double applause by Egalatomi. Also outgoing board members who really diligently served. Dr. Banti Getaun could not be here for a reason that is absolutely valid. Nobody in his situation could have come. Kanafi, he is also outgoing board member and board president, and I would like to give him a big applause and thank him too. A young man who made a big difference in OSA, brought challenging ideas. Oborobera is also outgoing, and we should thank him for his service as OSA board member. Mamo, the president asked me to thank all those who are here, OSA organizers, and our media person. Kara bada tiar kapurada kota yokit. Biyisina argu.
The 9-member team of OSA local.
Dr. Moa in Nagam, too very noisy here.
Isn't it important mention Dr. Last and for all the excellent work he did?
Absolutely. Dr. Zaga, who stepped in as our new editor-in-chief, and he has come up with 2 volumes of JOS already, if I'm not mistaken, and we want to thank him too. Bakka Jirutti, I hope he's online. Very good. These are people who did the excellent work. Akkuma argitan shamarran asitti majority when it comes to the groundwork. Good job. Aye.
وصوه لون بني بني زراني الراس وتنظفه لما هو تنظف الناس زراني كان تودان ميرا أرجع التكنيشانا على اسمه جتي أسيتي سوبر قال جتي وقتها كمان نوندي نقدر كمان
باي غلطوما وري كان اللي وري أسرت أرجمون دندين جل kita miti
Yeah, baik. Terus pakai.
إنسان اللي يعمل يفهم ولا يعتقد اللي يعمل كده
Ya. Oke, oke.
هذا فني هذا فني كده كده
Oke. Ya, amma sitti amma isaan dhufanitti Dr.
one more waan tokko irraanfadhe
Okay, okay.
yeah
Go ahead.
waa tokko irraanfadhe warra yaa angalateeffanne ammoo we have a new president of OSA Dr. Ibrahim amma jalqabee waggaa kana hunda isattu prezidaantii ta'ee gaggeessaa ammumaa jalqabaati itti kokkolfaa itti galata gashaa and our secretary also Dr. Gammachuun asuma jira isallee hamlees kennaafi galatas kennaafi jaratti kokkolfa prezidaantitti gaa kazichuun jirti.
warri nyaataa kun isaanii
Ya.
ijoolleen tun asitti nyaata guyyaa lama asitti nyaachuu jirru dhiyeessanii asitti kan nagadaas ni baratan gurgurtaadhaas ni baratan tajaajila namaatiifis asitti tajaajila guddaa laachaa jiranii asitti galateeffadhaa guddaa kanaaf.
Nyaata baay'ee bareedaa hundi keessa nyaataniittu argitaniittu kaleessas har'as kaameraadhaaf akka toluuf. Itti dhaabbadhutti illee gargaartee miti? Haayee jedhi yaa dubbadhu. Fitte miti? Ancora?
Anche vai thank you. Baay'ee gaarii nu jiraadha. Amma jiruu keenyatti itti fufna itti aanee paaneliin itti aanu an modereetii godhu Dr. Professor Samuel Galataati. Professor Samuel Galataa asnaa kotta. Warri itti aantanii paanelii kanatti warri itti aantanii asoo jiraattanii nu qophaa'a maaloo. Oh yeah. I want to really thank you, Hegre Media, for transmitting, for contacting me. Even though I didn't have really time to make a preliminary interview because I was really very busy day and the night, so I was unable to do it, but he was willing to do with me. I really appreciate that, and for the love he has for OSA. And he did facilitate last night too, OSA's Oromo Cultural Night. We did really sing, dance, and we did everything we could. Really, Gre Media is Oromo media, OSA media, everyone's media, your media, my media. So please congratulate him once. Thank you so much. Yeah, the podium is now Dr. Samuel Galatas or Professor Samuel Galata. You can select one or both. Thank you.
Hello. Innagama. Garida. Sakanamo. Hello. Okay, for our next session, I will invite the participants. I see one, Dr. Bahiru Duguma. Would you please come down here? And we will be, there are three participants. One is Dr. Bahiru is here, and I want to check if the other two are online, if Dr. Moa can verify that, if the two participants. Pardon?
Call their name. Who are the two people to mention?
Okay, so yeah, the first one, Dr. Bahiru is here. The second one is Getane Wudune Chamada.
Dr. Gaetano, are you in the house? Dr. Gaetano, I don't see.
He was before.
Yeah.
He was before.
And the second person is Bokayo Dabaso.
Dabaso from Kenya.
No response. So.
Okay, yeah, it's understandable. They are on the other side of the world. Dr. Getane Chamada is in France, and then just I heard that the Bakayo Dabaso is in Kenya.
Marsabit, Kenya.
Kenya. So, but we'll just proceed with Dr.
There is a force presented on the second page, on the next page. The delegate of Tucana.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry about that one. Yeah, Dr. Dejane Gamachu Chala here.
He is from Jimma University. I
Okay.
think he's also.
So, yeah, we'll just proceed with Dr. Bayro here.
I think he has a video.
Yeah, but let's proceed with.
With the ones he sent me a video.
With,
Yeah, I don't think video we can. Unless you want me to get online.
yeah,
I thought I have it here.
the PowerPoint. Who can
I have it.
for Dr. Bayro?
Let's while we let him go. Okay, I will. You have PowerPoint.
Yeah, I have PowerPoint.
You have PowerPoint.
Eh?
انت لو كنت لقيتي ترتي
Yeah.
انه نمن ارجو دي تدي
Like she confirmed the Mu'ahazit.
No, more city
Yes,
managing
this-
Yeah, okay. Dr. Moa, do you have PowerPoint for Dr. Bahiru Gamachu, please?
Yes, it was sent to me.
Bahiru, I'm sorry. Bahiru, Dr. Bahiru Gamachu was my boss, so.
No problem.
Okay, thank you.
You guys are supposed to run it from that podium. If
Yeah.
not, I can put it on Dr. Baharu.
Okay, thank
Ki galatu mi lafanni jiru tun beketi and computer ko raqaba, but my computer is not
you.
connected.
Dr. Moran, are you here? Is he around? Yeah. We need you when
So-
we don't go far in Becca.
I have the hard copy. I have my computer. If you guys don't have it right, I have it right.
All right. In the meantime, let me say something
Okay.
about you.
Okay.
Okay. While we try to get the PowerPoint, a little introduction about Dr. Bayro here.
this one
Okay.
production
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Galatu.
That's good. Taira garu expand in Tanima.
Okay. It is, let's continue like that.
Yeah, okay.
So, Dr. Bayro and I, we knew each other from undergraduate, college level. So, Dr. Bayro have been, I can say, he has worked almost all over the world, in Asia, in Africa, and also in the United States. Interacted with many professionals, intellectuals in the areas of development under, international programs, and also in the United States government. So he brings to us a lot of experience, and we'll just give him this time to go ahead and present the topic, which is the EPRDF legacy, the summation of intellectual capital in Oromia, Ethiopia. So give time to Dr. Bayro.
Galatomi, Samuel. Galatoma Hunukesani. It's glad to see this face. It's been quite a while since I got on the podium to give a presentation, even though I have done it over and over in other places. The point I'm trying to make right now, that before I start my presentation, I just want to plead with everybody in the room. if for any reason you think you disagree with what I say or my characterization of the different actors that I will be referring to, I want to sincerely ask for your indulgence at this point, because my intention is never meant to hurt anybody. I will try to speak to the facts, unfiltered, and to the best of my knowledge, I will give you evidence for some of my characterization of the actors that I'm referring to. With that brief introduction, if I may get to, okay. Perfect. Get it. Yeah. I'm going to take you through this outline, literally starting with a brief verbiage of introduction, and then I will go into what I call policies and the strategies that the actors used from 1890 to 1991, one-time horizon. Quite a number of us, I see, are from that time, and that is to lay a foundation or give you that historical perspective, how what started at the time continued and peaked over the last 30 years. And then I'll come to that 1991 to present. That squarely falls within the period we are talking about, the TPLF period. And the recap with harm that these policies have done to intellectual capital development in Oromia. And then I'll throw in one or two bullets in terms of what I think we should sincerely consider, particularly Oromos who strongly believe that we need to be in a better place in terms of experiencing fairness, equality, and justice in our own land, in our ancestral land. I'm not talking about going to somewhere else asking for that, but where we are supposed to be free in the first place. The introduction part, this is any literature you open will tell you, after colonial conquest, what follows is really eradicating, if you want to use the extreme language, or assimilating the people that are occupied or colonized. The purpose is very clear: control the vanquished, and use them for the benefit of the life of the occupiers, literally, to improve the quality, comfort of the life of the occupiers. The actual people who are colonized do not exist in the mind of those occupiers. They are not supposed to exist in the mind and the way they do business. The intention is to literally eradicate. You don't exist. And believe me, they have succeeded in our case in many ways. And I'll tell you why. The approach they use, of course, your language is the number one enemy, because that is the one most powerful characteristics that continues to carry your gene forward from one to another generation. And then the strategy, they use violence at the beginning when they occupy you, and then after that to silence you so that you don't speak up. And then the TPLF modification, if there is anything different from what is universally accepted, concept, action, and then outcome of colonization or occupation, it is about these ones are saying, we are actually going to rule that country forever. The others don't necessarily state it that or declare it that way. And I'll show you again where they said that. This is just a quotation that I get from one guy. I don't even know the name of the person in literature, but I saw it as I was Googling. And what it says about imperialism or colonization, whether that is in whatever the theory part of it or the practical part of it, it evolved from the concept of using cultural domination, that is in terms of cultural imperialism, as a means of political and economic control. That is the word. The idea behind cultural imperialism is that a powerful group, often a colonial power or dominant nation, imposes its cultural values, its beliefs, and practices on a less powerful group of nations. I don't want to go through the entire chapter, but in a nutshell, what this explains is pretty much like when I read it, I was seeing myself in the Ethiopian empire. How today, as a result, when I walk on the street, somebody says indemne, sometimes I don't even question why this guy is saying that. I immediately reply, Dehnane. And instead of standing there and said, have you gone out of your damn mind? What makes you think I speak your damn language? Sorry. How they did it, language is number one weapon that they used in many different ways. To serve two purposes. One is to exclude you from opportunities that a nation offers to its citizens. In Ethiopia, we were excluded. Even our illiterate citizens could not find a job anywhere in urban area if they did not speak Amharic. A PhD holder, an Oromo, comes back. He walks into a bar, and he asks the lady who is serving there in her own language, but of course in a broken Amharic, to be served for a beer or whatever. And everybody in the bar laughs at the guy as if he's some kind of alien, somebody who came from foreign country, foreign land. Why? Because the system has already integrated that into the control mechanism that they have. Humiliate, shame yourself to denial. Our people got to the point where we don't even want to be known as Oromos, even though the ones who colonized them, the ones who changed their identity, never accepted them as one of them. They wanted to pretend. One thing that we experienced, many of you, the young ones, haven't seen it, during our time, we have our friends, our classmates, who had 9 A's and couldn't go to university, guys. They had to go back and become shepherd. They had to go back and become peasant farmers on their own land. Why? Because they got 9 A's in sciences, social sciences, physical sciences. They couldn't pass Amharic. They were denied the opportunity to develop the God-given talent. That is the evil empire in which we lived. From 1977 to 1991, I personally never had opportunity to speak Oromo in a place where I lived because everybody that I saw around there are all Amharas or the other nationalities who speak Afan-Amhara. We were completely wiped out from in global scheme compared to the minority ethnic groups that we run into everywhere, and we think that is normal. We are over 40% of the population of that country. We call it Ethiopia, and I'm Ethiopian. I go around the world, I don't see an Oromo Ethiopian. I see only Amhara Ethiopian. I see only Tigray Ethiopian. When I went to school in the University of Nigeria, guys, I did not see a single Oromo for first 4 years that I lived there, until some senior Oromos like Bulshad Maksa, who we lost recently, and then another prominent fellow of my country was assigned by international organization, came there. That was for the first time I uttered Naga Oltani. For over 4 years I lived in West Africa. We were over 3,000 people from that empire. And the number of Oromos that I came across at that point, in that period, 0.3% of the population of Ethiopians in Nigeria. Just to give you perspective of how the evil empire excluded us from everything, every opportunity that country offers to its citizens. I want to mention this last statement. There is a guy called Walda Georgis, whom you get to hear very often about him. Around 1978, 79, if I recall correctly, or early 80s, by the name of famine that struck that country, they transferred these folks from the northern part of the country and then planted them, literally planted them throughout Oromia. And it was done by the person we have come to find out, realize today, that his mission was basically to obliterate Oromia from what he is telling us. This is a guy who today goes public and say, Walaga is Amhara country. And he's trying to convince the rest of the world to buy that BS. Forgive me for my language. That brings us to what happened from 1991 onward. I just gave you flavor, a bird's eye view of what I want you to understand, wholesale eradication of Oromos from Ethiopian scheme. That was done all the way up to that period. And then these guys came. There was a big jamboree in London, already concluded what it was intended to accomplish. When they censored, the military was losing power, and then the backers of these guys came there to negotiate how now the preferred child is going to take over power in Ethiopia. EPRDF, you have heard this, and we have normalized it, even ourselves. We have accustomed to it, conditioned to it, and we call them EPRDF. Folks, my brothers, EPRDF was created by their own admission. Gabru Asrat wrote it, a governor of Tigray wrote it. I have referred it, you can go and read. On their way to Finfinne, as victors, they created agents, they called them OPDO. And I'm sorry if there is any OPDO member, please don't take this as an offense. It has nothing to do with you. I'm just telling you the facts that it happened. They created OPDO, and guess who they recruited into that organization? The people, children, Oromo children that Mengistu has collected from the street of Addis Ababa, from the street of Olekamte, shipped them to the war front in Eritrea and Tigray to fight EPLF and TPLF. On their way coming, they carried all of them and brought them home and called them OPDO and Andem. And those are the guys who until today are killing Batte. These are the people who are killing Fromsa in Dambidolo. We need to understand, internalize this. This is nothing to do with our brothers and sisters in the PP today running the country. They are not doing this because they hate us. They are doing this because they are trained to do it. That is who Tigrayans, TPLF, manufactured out of thin air. And it turned around, and you know, I don't have to tell you the story, what it did to them. And then, as I said, empowered prisoners of war, stated goal, power to Tigray forever, literally, and then what unfolded after that? Why is this not moving?
Oh, you want to move it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And then of course, Tigray was run by our peers who were educated in the 70s. All of them know what they're doing. That's why they created these fake organizations, agents. They directed everything that happened in that country, either for them in Tigray or through their agents in Oromia and other places. And what did we end up with, guys? Oh, gosh. It's not going.
Just say next.
Okay, sorry.
Oh.
Okay. I'm almost close to finishing, don't worry.
Next in your dinner. Okay, kunot.
Samiti.
This is what I'll be using.
Nisen hojjetan kamera next year.
Dr. Malu, he told me to share. I'm sharing from here.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Okay, can you share it and I'll share mine?
Yeah, yeah, the way you're doing. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to start sharing you guys.
Okay, no, go ahead and share it and then I'll tell you next.
Okay.
Sorry, I missed, if I messed it
No,
up.
you guys say you don't have it, that's why I shared when you asked it. Okay, here you go.
Okay. So, as I said, they inherited already a devastated system. Why? Because after protracted 17 years war under the military, after the school, they failed to expand the school, and they created 3-shift system in Ethiopia, which you all know. They were producing or manufacturing half-baked individuals as graduates with certificate. What did the Tigrayans do? They took these guys and then shaped them into their own image. Mellis said, you don't have to have failed grade 1 certificate to work for TPLF or EPRDF or whatever you call it. You just need to implement our policy the way we tell you to do it. And that is exactly what they did. What did they do? 2 things they did. Deep into the future, they destroyed our intellectual capacity. Why? The people they trained, you can see them today all over in the social media. What are we doing? What are our young guys, brilliant Oromos, naturally created brilliant Oromos, but trained in Mekelle? Today, they're talking about our problem on Tigrayan platform in Amharic language, exposing their brother in the other side of the aisle in the PP, the same group, the same children of the same age. But telling these guys the stupid things they have said, the stupid thing that they have done. These guys are not any different from the one that is exposing this problem. The problem is that instead of telling us in our own language, via our own platform, so that we self-criticize and figure out how we can come as people together and make things better for our future. Instead, they go there and tell the whole world the evil things they said, the evil thing they did. What do we get in return for that destroyed human capital we have? Enemies throughout Ethiopia. Believe me, guys, if for some reason the people who hate us, eventually get hold of power, I am so sorry for my relatives who are still back in Ethiopia. They will murder us just because of what they hear being said, what the so-called country leaders have said in public. We confuse or convince to run a country. A regional president goes out and says this in public, the whole world hears. Whether you call that person mad, crazy, stupid, I don't know what language you could use to accurately characterize these kind of human beings. Even if you think that is what you did, do you have to scream your lungs out on the street? Is it not supposed to be your party strategy? In theory, from your own words, by your own admission, is the most appalling strategy, even if it is, but do you have to scream to the rest of the world?
1 minute.
With that, I am done. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Bahiro. I think
The only thing that I want to say before I leave the stage is any Oromo who believes he is, and we believe we're committed to rebuilding ourselves, it doesn't matter how many years it takes us, let's not wait for everybody to come into one room and start clapping. Those committed 5, 10 Oromos should start working today. That is the end 2 points that I left there. We should start working today, my brothers and sisters, on what we need to do as a strategy over the next, what we will hope to accomplish over the next 20, 30 years. I may not live long enough, but that is what today's Oromo brain should start working on if you want to rebuild Oromia's intellectual capital that is decimated, literally. Thank you.
thank you very much. So I think I don't know if Dr. Moa knows anybody else is online
There is, I have a
from
video,
our
but
group.
Let me tell, yeah.
I see an invite them to.
Maal fi warra as jiruuf
priority to video language.
Ubugabachu, are you one of the speakers on this panel?
I'm sorry, what did you say, Dr. Moa?
Asking for Gamacho.
I see a name Gabachu because you were mentioned as the fourth panelist here.
Do you see him?
I see just the name Gabachu. I'm wondering if he's the one.
No, there are many Gamachus. His name is actually, he sent me a video, but that video really lacks quality, and I did struggle with it. I have a copy of it, but since we have, we said or promised to give priority for those who are here in person first, and I need to go with those, and we will actually place it through time online for him. That is what I'm doing from now, because we are running out of time. I think I have to go with the ones who are in the podium or in the hall. Thank you very much, Dr. Moa. The next presenter, I'm sorry, just give me, I was occupied with, yeah. Okay, just give me 1 minute, please, okay? Yep. Okay. The next moderator will be Dr. Benya Dugasa.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue where we stopped.
Just ask who are here from that, and then we go with the ones who are here first.
Okay, sure. On the panel, I got the name Dr. Banti Getahun. For very important reasons, he can't make it. And so I need to ask whether or not Dr. Torreira Abraham and Dr. Bashir Idao are online. Dr. Tolera, are you online? Are you with us? Tolera, Dr. Tolera Abraham.
I see a name Tolera, but Dr. Tolera, are you here? Okay, move on then.
Okay, if friends who have contact with Dr. Tolera, remind him that he need to come as soon as possible. And next is Dr. Bashir Idao. Dr. Bashir Idao, are you online with us?
No, I don't see that name.
They are both from back home. Maybe they are sleeping by now. Sorry about that. Continue.
Okay, so understandably, they could not make it. Hopefully, they will give us in the writing, and so that we can learn from the way they see it. The topic of their presentation is supposed to be legacies of empire and politics of the Horn of today. It would have been very interesting to discuss, to learn more, and think about what to do about it. See, empire, structural inequalities, which created both social, economic, and environmental problems, would have added up to our knowledge. But given that they are not here, so we will need to be finishing the panel. Thank you. So now I will invite the President to invite, I think, Brunei.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Benya, and actually I want Dr. Company at the company to come to the podium. Please, we have one more featured speaker here. If he is online, I will be very happy to hear from him. And I will yield the podium to Dr. Company. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fantahun, and greetings, everyone. As OSA faces now its 40th year upcoming, a full Gada cycle, started in 1986 until next year, 26. I'm very pleased to see the kind, the diversity, and the quality of presentations that have been attracted to this topic. Our topic is capacity building in Oromia and in the Horn of Africa, and the challenge to narratives of power. And I'm very pleased to be able to introduce one of the featured speakers who has spent his entire career focused on development from below, development within Oromo categories, indigenous categories of progress, and using basic Oromo concepts to pursue development. His title is Oromo Development Conception and Practice, an ethnographic study of the Tulema Oromo. Alamayu is a social anthropologist, master's student at Addis Ababa University, and before that he had a degree in economics. So he combined these two. He worked for many years as a manager with the Hunde organization, the Hunde Self-Development Association. And he also has been working, let me see, my screen print has just gone very small. He's worked at, in project evaluation, in civic education, in basically human rights-based development, strategic planning. He continues to work in consultancy on the role of women in rural and agricultural development, in rights-based approaches to many different aspects. And as he had a position with the, let's see here, he was a program operation manager at Hunde, and he had a position as manager of network of civil society organizations in Oromia. One of the great recommendations in my book is that twice or three times, Gammachu Magarsa and Anisa Kassam cite Alamayu's work in development in their very important chapter at the end of the book that they wrote about Oromo sacred knowledge. So they have given a priority and and highlighted the work that he has done in that area. And I think that recommends him as a person that we should listen to for how it is that the Oromo may propose and may develop, if we put our energies behind this, those who support Oromo concepts, to develop sustainably, to develop from the bottom up, and to provide a genuine alternative to the kind of rapacious development that all of us are seeing as destroying our land. So sustainability, progress, and indigenous knowledge is at the heart of his talk. So for Alamayu Diro, I welcome you. We all welcome you, and we look forward to what you have to say on this significant topic at the heart of the theme of our conference.
So he's having challenge. Go ahead.
Sorry, I can't do it understanding where you or may I try from here?
Try, meanwhile.
Networking that I'm networking by the Tabawa therapy, you do the students, everybody say very
Okay.
Bye, guys. Ifama Dr. Ma, yo Hamadan did Sunday ma, yo that Nabdani website in Kenya.
Okay. Okay. Distinguished Oromo scholars and invited guests, first I would like to extend my gratitude to Oromo Studies Association for offering me the opportunity to serve as featured speaker at this annual conference. It's my honor to present to you today an ethnographic exploration drawn from my MA thesis of 2004 titled Oromo Development Conception and Practice, an ethnographic study of the Tulama Oromo. I believe this research is significant because it revisits the notion of development not as a top-down import, but as a concept rooted in indigenous knowledge, cultural values, and the institutional practice of the Oromo, with a special reference to Tulama subdivision in Ethiopia. The study challenges conventional development paradigms that often universalize Western models and fail to capture the lived realities, aspirations, and the historically rooted systems of local communities. In so doing, it aligns with the postmodern and the new populist critic that advocate for recognizing cultural specificity, local agency, and the plurality of development paths. Rather than treating development as a merely an economic or technocratic process, the thesis foregrounds it as a socially constructed and culturally mediated practice deeply embedded in Oromo institutions, rituals, and the collective memory. Spanning from social organization of the Tulama Oromo and the Gada system to their conception of development, communal land tenure use, labor mobilization systems, and the indigenous mechanisms of wealth redistribution, the study provides holistic portrait of a society whose development vision is integrally linked to communal values and the generational responsibility. Before colonization by the Abyssinian Empire in the late 19th century, the Oromo governed themselves through the Gada system, an indigenous social political system that cyclically rotates leadership every 8 years. This system embodies collective governance, egalitarian principles, and a strong social cohesion. The Tulama Oromo, as a subdivision of the Oromo nation, organize themselves through intricate kinship networks. Kinship extends beyond biological ties to define socio-economic obligations and the conflict resolution mechanisms. The Gada system structures generational leadership and responsibilities, while the CK institution functions as a socio-cultural instrument upholding women's rights within the patriarchal framework. This dual system, which means Gada and the CK, creates a check and balances. The kinship structure ensures cohesion, dictates inheritance, and determines resource allocation, emphasizing collective identity and mutual responsibility. Thus, the Tulama Oromo social fabric is interwoven with mechanisms that govern economic, political, and social life harmoniously. Geographically, Oromia extends across fertile plateaus and valleys with diverse topography that profoundly shapes livelihood patterns. The Oromo are primarily agro-pastoralists. Their livelihood integrates mixed farming and livestock husbandry, with land use regulated by customary tenure practices that historically ensured communal access and sustainability. Central to this ethnographic inquiry is the unique way the Tulama Oromo conceive of development. Unlike dominant Western paradigms, the frequency reduces development to, unlike development Western paradigms that frequently reduce development to measurable economic growth, technological advancement, or GDP expansion, the Tulama Oromo articulate development through the indigenous concept of finna. In the Oromo worldview, finna is inseparably linked with fertility and sustainability. It is a multi-dimensional concept that manifests in what the community calls finna nama, the fertility and the prosperity of human beings, finna lafa, the fertility and the enduring productivity of land, and the finna hori, the health and the multiplication of livestock herds. Thus, development is not an intangible abstract goal, but rather an ongoing condition of balance between people, nature, and the time. This holistic concept is practically realized through the Gada system, which serves not only as a political structure, but as a framework for lawmaking that sustains community welfare. With the Gada, each generational grade is entrusted with specific duties and responsibilities that contribute to community's collective growth and sustainability. These grades symbolize the organic passage of knowledge, values, and leadership, embodying a development model that is cyclical, regenerative, and morally bound. An integral element of supporting this conception is the Oromo's wealth monitoring ethos. Accumulation of resources is not encouraged for individual glorification, but is continuously assessed within the community's moral economy to prevent excessive inequalities. Customary laws and the norms act as safeguards against hoarding, thereby promoting a more equitable distribution that sustains social cohesion. This indigenous development model stands in a marked contrast to imported development programs that often marginalize local systems of knowledge and regulation. For the Tulama Oromo, true development cannot be imposed externally. It must be cultivated internally through adherence to time-tested customs, shared responsibilities, and ethical reciprocity among kin and neighbors. By privileging collective welfare, ecological respect, and integrational solidarity, the Oromo development conception illustrates an alternative paradigm, one in which the metrics of progress are not merely economic outputs, but sustained harmony between people, land, and the community life. Critically, the Tulama Oromo's understanding of land stands in a marked contrast to capitalist land tenure system rooted in privatization and commodification. Land is more than an economic resource. It's a collective asset tied to identity and survival. Land is not a mere commodity to be traded or hoarded. It is a sacred trust, a living inheritance that binds the community to the ancestors and its unborn generations. This relationship is grounded in the belief that human well-being and environmental health are inseparable. Above all, in the Oromo worldview, land belongs to all human beings and all other living creatures whose lives depend on it. Land is managed communally to ensure food security and resource sustainability. The erosion of customary land tenures through state interventions and the privatization threatens social cohesion and the indigenous economic system. Any conception of development that neglects this mutual dependence is seen as flawed and unsustainable. Therefore, land use and allocation are guided by customary laws and the communal norms rather than solely by market mechanisms. This approach safeguards the ecological base and ensures that land remains accessible to all members of the community, protecting against dispossession and alienation. The Tulama's conception of development is inherently rooted in defending communal land rights. In the Tulama Oromo's indigenous development framework, the organization of productive labor and the communal resources is a cornerstone that illustrates the practical commitment to collective well-being and the social equity. Far from relying solely on formal markets or wage labor, the Tulama Oromo have long cultivated a robust system of mutual aid, reciprocal exchange, and a voluntary cooperation to mobilize human and material resources for shared benefits. At the heart of the system is Dabo, a deeply embedded practice of collective labor mobilization. Dabo represents a voluntary arrangement in which community members come together to accomplish labor-intensive tasks, such as land preparation, sowing, weeding and harvesting. In return for hosting Dabo, a household provides communal meals and hospitality, creating a festive environment that transforms demanding labor into a socially cohesive activity. Dabo is more than a mere work party. It is an institution of solidarity that ensures that no household is left vulnerable due to labor shortage. Complementing Dabo are other reciprocal labor practices such as Karachisa, or in some places we call it Jigi, a flexible exchange of labor to address immediate or urgent needs, Wamfala, an exchange based on principles of equal reciprocity, and Inyi, or sometimes we call it Morma, a system through which community members share traction power, such as draft oxen, in exchange of gains upon the next harvest to ensure timely plowing and planting. These practices highlight the resourcefulness of the Tulama Oromo in responding to the seasonal demands of agriculture while fostering mutual dependence and trust. I think these concepts are well known by many of the participants. Further instances, new dances of this labor organization include Bui, which refers to the pairing of draft oxen for plowing when a household lacks a complete pair, and the Lengi Kenu, where an experienced farmer trains another spools in exchange for its traction power. Such exchanges extend beyond material gain. They reinforce social ties and they cultivate a sense of ethical responsibility that binds neighbors and the kin. What emerges is an intricate network of moral obligations that guide the sharing of labor and the resources, reducing individual vulnerability and mitigating risks in unpredictable agrarian environments. This cooperative system minimizes dependence on external inputs or market fluctuations, demonstrating a form of economic resilience built on social capital. By embedding production within a moral fabric of the community, the Tulama Oromo sustain an indigenous model that is both productive and profoundly human-centered. Their approach underscores that labor, when organized collectively and ethically, becomes a powerful driver of community development, one that preserves dignity, equity, and the cultural continuity. An essential pillar of Tulama Oromo's development practice lies in their indigenous mechanisms for the equitable distribution of resources and the wealth across households and generations. These mechanisms are ad hoc acts of these mechanisms are not ad hoc acts of charity. Rather, they are structured, institutionalized practices woven into the communist moral economy, ensuring that the benefits of development, whether livestock, land or labor, circulate broadly rather than concentrate narrowly. One prominent example is at Pura, the practice of heifer endowment at birth. When a child is born, it is customary for a close kin to grant a young female a calf upon the newborn. This gesture is not a symbolic alone. It marks the child's stake in the community's productive wealth and it provides the initial foundation for future livelihood. As the calf grows, reproduces, and expands into a small herd, it becomes an early asset for that contributes to the family's security and the child's future economic agency. So Anura is one well-known mechanism of resource redistribution. Similarly, Kirma, or in some places call it loan CK, meaning CK cattle, refers to the cattle endowment provided to a bride upon marriage. While the Sikh institution upholds women's rights more broadly, this custom reinforces a woman's economic standing in her new household through wealth secured by kinship ties. It also ensures that women, though excluded largely from the formal political roles, remain central economic actors with independent assets secured through culturally sanctioned customs. Another vital mechanism is RIPI, the practice of offspring sharing, whereby households redistribute young livestock to a relative or group community members. The sharing not only spreads economic risk, but serves as an informal insurance system against misfortune. It demonstrates a collective ethic that no family should be left destitute while others prosper. The gift of a milk cow to a family in need, and the Anakita, the practice of sharing milk within the neighborhood, further illustrate this embodied norm of social redistribution. These practices are sustained by communal understanding that wealth, particularly livestock, is not to be hoarded for personal gain alone, but circulated to safeguard the community's cohesion and the collective resilience. Such institutional mechanisms function as stabilizers in a largely subsistence-based rural economy, buffering households against the notion of climate, disease, or sudden loss. More profoundly, they affirm that for the Tulama Oromo, development is not a private pursuit, but a moral responsibility. It is a relational process, continually renewed through kinship ties, social trust, and intergenerational duty. Together, these practices constitute a living system of indigenous social security and a resource equity, offering a compelling lessons for those who seek alternatives to development models driven by market-centric individualism. As this ethnographic study draws its insight together, it becomes clear that the Tulama Oromo's conception and the practice of development stands apart from conventional paradigms imposed through modernization theories and the externally driven policy frameworks. This study's analytical synthesis underscores the profound ways in which the Tulama Oromo social organization, land ethics, productive level structures, and the institutional redistribution mechanisms converge to produce an indigenous, culturally embedded model of sustainable development. From an analytical standpoint, the Tulama Oromo's indigenous development system challenges dominant narratives that treat traditional as static and inefficient, when in reality it's dynamic, adaptive, and deeply practical. A living knowledge system that sustains livelihoods and reinforces community solidarity, where top-down programs often fall short. Practices like Dabo and the customary land tenure illustrate how local institutions manage risk, ensure fair resource use, and sustain social cohesion. The analysis, therefore, urges development practitioners and the policymakers to revisit the foundation of community engagement. Participation should not be merely mean local people's level or attendance at donor workshops. Rather, it should mean recognizing, strengthening, and building upon the existing institution through which communities already organize production, governance, and distribution. Respecting the Tulama Oromo social and cultural logic of development requires a radical humility on the part of external actors, and acceptance that meaningful progress can emerge not from external imposition, but from facilitating what local communities have long practiced and refined from within. Additionally, this indigenous development conception has profound implications for contemporary debate about sustainability and resilience. As global challenges such as climate change and the land degradation intensify, lessons from the Tulama Oromo highlight how community managed institutions, equitable land access, and the reciprocal labor exchange can provide robust local buffer against external shocks. Their practices demonstrate that sustainability is not a technical fix, but a cultural project sustained by norms, ethics, and shared responsibilities. Yet the analysis must also acknowledge the vulnerabilities that these systems face. State policies that centralize land administration, the encroachment of commercial agriculture, urban expansion, and the erosion of communal values through migration and modernization all pose significant threats. The resilience of the Tulama Oromo's indigenous development model depends on its capacity to adopt without losing its core principles of solidarity, equity, and ecological stewardship. Here, the role of research, documentation, and advocacy becomes crucial, not to romanticize tradition, but to recognize its practical relevance in an age of rapid change. The analysis of the Tulama Oromo development conception and the practice reaffirms that development is never culturally neutral. It is an idea that takes on distinct shapes and the meanings with different knowledge systems and the historical contexts. For the Tulama Oromo, development is not an isolated project, but a way of life, a continual negotiation between people, nature, and the time, guided by institutions that balance individual needs with collective welfare. Basically, economic development can be understood along three interdependent concepts. These three concepts are Sanyi, Hormata, and Etika. Sanyi as a concept that stands for seed capital or startup resource that one needs to have to engage in economic activities. Hormata refers to fertility, productivity, or multiplication. Once Sanyi is properly utilized and nurtured, it should be able to reproduce and multiply. The Oromo also believes that smooth development requires naga or peace that guarantees security or tika. It is the presence of reliable security that guarantees further reproduction and multiplication of resources. Security requires, among other things, belongingness to a community one lives with, while at the same time redistributing resources through different culturally accepted routes and mechanisms. That's what guarantees tika. Development is a process. The Tulama Oromo understand 5 phases of growth and development. These development phases are Gudina, upward growth, Balina, outward growth, Gabina, certainty, Badalina, fullness, and the Kanani, prosperity. Together, these 5 phases reflect the practical unfolding of Fina, the community's vision of balanced growth that nurtures people, land, and livestock through every stage of life. The Oromo have also developed wealth ranking systems which measures individuals' wealth status in relation to other community members. These ranks of wealth are locally known as Dega, the destitute, Hakakalesa, the poor, Ufdanda, the self-sufficient, Duresa, the rich, and the Duresa Jilti, the prosperous. The the Oromo used to declare their wealth status to the public ceremonially when their wealth status reached certain stage. As the livelihoods of the Tulama Oromo depend on mixed crop and livestock production, such wealth status monitoring used to take place when the number of heads of cattle reach over 1,000 or when hundreds of daulas, this is a local measure, or quintals of grains are harvested in a year. As the scholars and the practitioners gathered here today, we are reminded that the pursuit of more equitable, resilient and culturally meaningful development pathways must begin with listening. Listening not only to statistical indicators and the global benchmarks, but also to the voices, practices, and the wisdoms of communities who remind us that another development is not only possible, it's already practiced, lived, and passed on from one generation to the next. This ethnographic exploration of the Tulama Oromo development conception and the practice reveals a coherent, culturally embedded alternative to mainstream and externally driven development models. Drawing on the lives of the lived experiences, oral traditions, and the institutional structures of the Tulama Oromo, the study demonstrates that development for this community is not a singular pursuit of economic expansion, but an integrated process grounded in ethical responsibility, social cohesion, and the sustainable stewardship of land and the livestock. As contemporary societies grapple with the limits of top-down interventions and the search for models that are equitable and sustainable, the Tulama Oromo experience offers powerful lessons. It calls on practitioners and the policymakers to recognize and the vitality and the vitality of indigenous systems, to respect and support them, and to integrate their principles into broader development thinking. My study shows that the path to meaningful, enduring development lies not in discarding the past, but in drawing from its deep wells of knowledge and solidarity, sustaining communities not as a past recipients, but as an active custodians of their own futures. Many of the indigenous knowledge systems, including the Oromo, are at risk of becoming extinct, despite its paramount importance to the livelihoods and the survival of the indigenous people. A new revolution that advocates for the bottom-up participation in the process of development provides good opportunity for the study of indigenous knowledge as an alternative approach to development. Ultimately, the study has assessed only part of the indigenous knowledge system of the Oromo. More research is needed to further investigate people's knowledge, skills, and institutions, and to explore how development interventions can build on these time-tested practices. As we gather here today, the scholars, practitioners, and the community leaders, let's renew our shared commitment to listen, learn, and act together to ensure that these living traditions continue to thrive for generations to come. Thank you very much for your kind attention and for the honor of sharing this work with you.
Thank you very much, Alamayu. Your internet stayed with us. That meant that was a blessing in itself. We know that the Oromo provided enormous amount of bounty from the areas that they lived and provided wealth to the entire region for centuries and decades even, and we had recent decades. And we realized that the application of these concepts and these practices have produced that wealth, and we appreciate your shedding light on how they work. Thank you.
Baay'ee galatooma Balamayo Wangari Novidani. Thank you very much. And the podium, our distinguished guests, we are running out of time. I hope the rest of our presenters will understand that from the beginning we have said we will give priority for those who will be present in person. Unfortunately, we tried to accommodate everyone. It didn't work out for me. I hope you are reasonable, you understand the issues. So I do apologize for the following presenters. One, Melkesa Ideo Tufa, La Inge Brinkman, Tashome Inge Mosa, Dr. Asapfa Jalata sent us a video we will put on the OSA website. He already he is known, he doesn't need much, but he understands we would have been really very grateful if he presented, including Dr. Hambisa Balina and Ngichala Kala. So I have two people who will be presenting. The last one, I hope they will share the 20 minutes we are left with. These are Obbotamam from the language, Obbotamam and Obbotasfai Deresa. Please come on here. I call on actually moderator Obbotamam. There are two who have sent me also a video from back home, Sena Dagafa and Sena Gomfa and Ababa Kano. We apologize. We will put your video on OSA's website. We recognize it as you have presented, because of the boundary, everything, things were really a little bit hectic with us. I hope you understand us. Thank you very much for sending your articles. We will transfer to the editor of JOS. I hope it will be selected and they will publish it. I appreciate it and yield the last minutes we have for Obbotamam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fanta, for the introduction. Afaan keenya dubbanna jalqabumayyuu yogguunii fi paanalli keenya duubatti dhiibame akka haalli kun mudatu beeynee jirra. Afaan Oromoo afaan hiyyeessa akka ta'e ni beeyna abbaan qabne amma warra waliin dhiheessinu maquma isaanii isin beeksisa akka nuti kan dhiheessinu maqaa waltajjii qormaataa fi qoraasuma afaan Oromoo yookiin shanacha afaan Oromoo jenneeti jaarmee qabnaa dhimmuma afaan Oromoo irratti kan ijaarranne har'a isaan keessaa nama afurtu asitti dhiyaanne ana qindeessaa jaarmee saniiti obbo Tasfaayeen gaafatamaa dhimma diinagdeeti addee Seenaa Gonfaa bakka buutuu jaarmaa kan Oromiyaati Dr. Abbabaa Kannoo Gonfaa Mrs. jaarmee kanaati Finfinnee irraa dhihaata. Jarri lameeni Dr. Abbabaanii fi Seenaani viidiyoo nu erganii jiru. Viidiyoo isaanii sanii wanni irra keenya viidiyoo isaanii websaayitii irra kaayamuu fi amma obbo Tasfaayeen wanni inni itti beekamuun gabaabsumaa fi urjii gaazexaa urjii ani ijaaree editor in chief isa ture. Eeggechi as dhufe asittis barnoota isaatti fufee Advanced Diploma Community and Justice Services Centennial College Toronto irraa fudhatee MA isaa MA degree Media and Culture Major Communication Policies Minor in York University irraa fudhatee amma obbo Tasfaayeefiin durummaa kanna obbo Tasfaayee dhiyeesse.
زورة تنشير قرابتي
شنو المكان
ده بيسواني بقى كنوتي كان عندي من الديسا بربع دمو كان عندي من الديسكوت الأسكن كنو خسيب
السكان ستانو
أنا نسيني
اوكي
شيء كان
اوكي تفوري akkam jirtu hundi keessanuu fayyaa keessanii egaa konferensichi laanguejii adda addaatiin gaggeeffamaa ture qophiin koo ingiliziffaanii ture. Two preparations I made. One is the PowerPoint slides and detailed texts of the bullet points I made ready in the slides, but I could see that we don't have time to go through the detailed texts or explanations. The other thing, what I noticed, I saw lots of panels or discussions that could have been merged. I mean, this topic, Afan Oromo, from different angles, have been being raised by the speakers yesterday, today. That was what I was sensing. This is challenge of Afan Oromo as a language of instruction. Yes, some have been touching on it, but I don't think so. Everybody has equally looked into it in details, what this language has been facing the last 30 years after it was adopted as a language of instruction. Just as an introduction, I have language ideology that goes with all existing languages, each language having its own language ideologies, lot sharing in common. It's like any ideologies about belief you have for what you have, whatever. And under here is a representation. It represents lots of beliefs, values, social values, economic, cultural values, political values. It's a bridge. It links those beliefs and values of the speakers of the language together, and it's also a mental construct. I have to go through it just as it is, crudely, I could say. Mother tongue as a language of instruction. What does it mean? And I want you to ask you as much as possible to relate to Afan Oromo all that I am touching on here. What does it mean when I relate it to Afan Oromo? Like mother tongue as a language of instruction. It's a legal recognition. What does that mean when you relate it to Afan Oromo? Maybe we need to go back to 1992-93 when this language was adopted as a language of instruction, how we felt about it, and like not just recognition legally. This legal recognition, not even beyond that. It was a celebration. It was a pride. It was a celebration, it was a pride for all of us, even more than legal recognition. It's about inclusivity and diversity. We started feeling that we are included, and just contrary to the century ahead before that, it's about confidence and efficiency. This is more about we ourselves, like having just maybe a huge collection of ideas, knowledge, but not speaking in our own language, but like take students in the classroom, in their own classroom, conducted in their native language. The confidence and efficiency that gives is about that. And it's acknowledgement of all the values embedded in languages. It's also, far beyond that, it's a goal of the Sustainable Development Goal adopted by the United Nations. What I said, quality education for all. For that, the major factor is learning in one's own native language. Why or how mother tongues as language of instruction? I think we have the first one already raised. Preservation is about preserving culture, all social, political, historical values, and this happens when the language is taught in, learners develop. Success, number one factor for students to be successful in their education. And we all went through this, I think, no need of explaining this to our generation, because we knew how we were feeling learning in Afan Oromo. Just one good, short but big explanation. There was an Oromo merchant when he was young. Every time he was coming to Finfinne to pick up his items for his store, he was making himself dumb, not speaking. He's still alive in Sweden. Harun Idris Musa, because not to be called Gamadab, tongue-tied, which is illogical. No human being is Gamadab or tongue-tied. But for second languages, everybody is tongue-tied. Nobody speaks fluently as a native speaker, any language on earth. Gamadab, he was making some dumb, not speaking. And in a classroom, the same thing to our students when they don't learn and write or speak in their own languages. It's empowerment, and I think the major theme of this conference is empowerment, and it all is a lot to do with learning in one's own language. It's so sorry that I could not go into my detailed explanations. And the challenges. We have seen a lot touching on Afan Oromo in different ways from different angles, but I don't hear or see anybody raising the challenges Afan Oromo has been facing as a language of instruction for the last 30 years. But about Urji, a little bit about ownership, that Afan Oromo lacked ownership when following the withdrawal of the OLF from the charter and from the transitional government. It was left on the street in open field, nobody to protect it or promote it. What happened is, those people in power, they used it as a mole, sogidda, this salt bar, traditionally used to approach rogue animals, horidida, to approach and get hold of them. That's what the OPDO did. They used it as a mole to approach Oromo, who turned their back toward this OPDO. And that was all. And lots of political issues. Number one, from the other side, from others. Number two, from the OPDOs themselves. Others conspiring as many ways as possible for them. They went as far as burning textbooks that were published and were ready for distribution. They burned it. And funny enough, some of the intellectuals who knows maybe more than all of us what human rights is, what children's rights is. Guys like Tayyul Samad, in a big conference, he condemned the adoption of Ube as Afan Oromo as a language of instruction in Oromia because 6,000 of his people, teachers, used to teach in Oromia, lost the job when Afan Oromo was adopted as a language of instruction. So for him, the 6 million Oromo sons and daughters meant nothing. Their rights meant nothing to him. 6,000 teachers who had other opportunities in some other place in the country. This kind of conspiracies from day one of Afan Oromo's adoption as a language of instruction. Linguistic, academic, no research is being done, no discussions like the ethnography issues that could have been resolved. Nothing is being done from that angle. Pedagogical training, teachers were not getting necessary trainings to teach the kids in their native language. This is what I heard from the ground in Oromia, talking to teachers and some staffs in education fields. No training. The lack of ownership, I said, about you raised it, that was why it is Afan Oromo has no owner, has not had owner for the last 30 years, the same situation, and because of that, in short, instead of progressing, instead of moving to standardization, Afan Oromo is regressing, going back. And one of the reasons for this, those who are working with the language, those who are teaching it, the teachers, the cadres, the media especially, they took Amharic language as a model to use Afan Oromo in those areas. Doing what? Like making taking the Afan Oromo, the Amharic style, and transliterating words, texts or whatever from Amharic, and using it in their media, in their offices, and which does not work at all because Amharic and Afan Oromo are very different in their linguistic features and never. Again, it's so sad that there is not enough time to explain this in detail. And I think I have to stop here. If there are, I don't think we don't even also have time for question and answer. That's it. How good day.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, you have the last word, of course.
Fayyada wanta kana akka barbaachisutti fedha baasuu hin dandeenye isa kaan weebsaayitii irra keenya weebsaayitii irra ilaalladhaa guutuudhatti kan nu afraniitu jechuudha. Warra hangammaa turtaniif galatoomaa jenna.
Baay'ee galatoomaa. I really appreciate the Opotamam's team. They have been with me for so long. We did have actually their departmental meeting one day, and they are trying their best to promote Afan Oromo, which is really highly appreciable. And I hope they will simply continue in that development and grow Afan Oromo. And I just simply want to say a few words. We have completed our mission. I think OSA board of members, if you are around here, please come to the front if you can. Otherwise, our team, today's team, since I don't have time to just talk a lot about it, how we started, where we ended up, I also will be forced to complete my mission here. And the title we have built so far, the mission we have started, is complete with these all presentations, 2 days, 3 days mission. I really thank you, everybody who have participated, capacity building, in Northeast Africa, the Oromo Challenge. The Oromo Challenge in narratives, Ethiopian narrative actually completed its mission. I appreciate Dr. Benya Adekabane, who have been really with me in developing that. And for advising purposes, there are many of them who have advised me, who I did seek really kind of advice that I got from them. Dr. Moses Aga, Dr. Asfaw still, he has been today with us, all of them. All of you who have helped me in this mission. Thank you so very much. We cannot go beyond whatever I have prepared since in hurry. I couldn't actually express myself the way I wanted. Thank you, everyone. And President-elect, is he around? President-elect. Outside?
No, he's not. He was online, but I don't see him now.
Okay, good. I wish him the best. I wish you, everybody, the best. Thank you, Moa, for you have been always with me and posting whatever I requested in time. Thank you so very much. I have completed my mission. Appreciate it.
So with that, I'm going to close the Zoom room, guys. Thank you very much. Conference.
Yeah, the conference, the 3-day conference we have started, completed. Now the mission is completed. That's all I can say, really.
Okay, somebody forgot his or her key to her hotel.